Back to football, where the New York Jets talked with multiple teams ahead of yesterday's trade deadline, among them the Cowboys, who reportedly offered a 2020 first-round pick for Jamal Adams. Dallas is coming off a bye week at 4-3. Here's what their owner, Jerry Jones, said.
I thought we would be better. Our record would be better. Just the obvious, we didn't think the Jets game would have the outcome that it had.
Do you feel like this Cowboys team is still considered one of the contenders to win a Super Bowl this season with what you've seen so far?
Oh, I think that we have the potential. I don't think the way that we have played so far will get us there.
Quote, I thought we'd be better, from Jerry Jones. Sometimes we live in a world where quotes are all that really matter, and the context sometimes gets lost. What did you make of that quote from Jerry Jones?
Yeah, I think that Jerry Jones is a master entertainer, and he wants to keep his team in the news. It's why they're so popular. But I also know that in the same way that the Jets are communicating with their players intentionally or unintentionally through the media, Jerry Jones is also communicating with his players that he expected more. And the fact that the news got out about them going after Jamal Adams is also a message to that defense specifically, because the offense, as much as we talk about Dak Prescott, the offense has been pretty solid so far this season. The problem has been the defense and the field position that they're putting them in. They've been the unit that's held this team back so far. I think a Jamal Adams would help, but I don't think that's a cure-all.
And that isn't going to happen anymore anyway. Well, what do you think?
Coming into this season, I believe Jerry is sending the message that the reason we paid all of these people is because I expected a championship caliber team, and that is not the way that this team is performance. And so Jerry Jones wants more. Jerry Jones obviously wants to win a championship this year, and that is why you were on the phone to get a player like a Jamal Adams, who to me is a young Brian Dawkins.
So let's just, and listen, I think he would have been spectacular there. He is a genuinely great player, but it didn't happen. So you were talking about the Saints and the Niners and the Packers and the Vikings. Are the Cowboys, in your mind, I'll ask you the same question those guys on the radio asked Jerry, are they a Super Bowl team?
I think they're a contender, but I mean, it's going to be really hard. If they were in the AFC, I might have a different or sing a different tune. But in this conference, it's going to be really hard to get past all those teams. Listen, I don't think they're better than at least three of them.
I spoke about the NFC yesterday as Bloodsport. I don't know if you remember the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie where you're in this tournament with all of these great fighters and you're trying to win the championship. That's what the NFC is to me this year. When you look at teams like Seattle and the Minnesota Vikings being the wild card teams, that tells you how good this conference truly is. And so, is Dallas a good football team? Yes. I don't believe it's on the level or caliber of the Saints, the Packers, and the San Francisco 49ers, and maybe even some of those second-tier wild card type contenders.
It's your second movie reference of the morning. I was a lot more comfortable with this one than the Indecent Proposal one.
I like the Indecent Proposal. It's so much better.
I'm not suggesting I don't like it, but I wasn't 100% clear on where it was going, and at one point I was quite nervous. All right, back to the NBA we go. LeBron James and the Lakers taking on the Grizzlies, and what a night Anthony Davis had. There's LeBron throwing it up, and there's Anthony Davis throwing it down. Jalen Rose. Davis, no dunk, but still looking good. However, we got some questions. He's got a shoulder. Jalen, what are we worried about with the shoulder?
Well, he was going back and forth to the locker room. That seems like that can be a lingering issue. At some point, I anticipate he's going to have to miss a few games to get it healthy.
He would go to the locker room and get it worked out. He would come back, and boy, would he be fine when he came back. He would finish the first half with 20 points and 12 rebounds, and then in the third quarter, Jay Will, he would just take the game over completely.
One of the most dominant performances we've seen so far this year. 25 rebounds and 20 free throws? What?
He was on the line all night long. He's going up and throwing them down. He would finish with 40 points, 20 rebounds, and sit out the entire fourth quarter. And then just for good measure, Jalen, how about LeBron playing some defense?
LeBron is terrific with the chase down blocks. When you anticipating he behind you, you ever stop and pump fake? Just get the and one.
I would just give up. Let's talk about LeBron after the game.
I don't even think he's scratched the surface yet. I think we're all still getting comfortable with one another. I think he's still getting comfortable out on the floor. But, you know, when he's attacking like that, the guy shoots high in the 80s and 90s from the free throw line. And, you know, that's easy money for him, and it's great for our defense as well. It's great for our team being able to settle a game down like that. So he was wonderful tonight, spectacular in all facets, both offensively and defensively, and we needed it.
You saw it on the screen. He made 26 foul shots last night. And look at all the players that have had 40 points and 20 rebounds. A lot of former Lakers on this list here. He's the sixth to accomplish that feat. You see some of the other all-time greats on that list, and they're hoping that Anthony Davis becomes the next great big man in Los Angeles. And so I asked Jay Will this question a little bit earlier. One of the biggest storylines of the NBA season is watching LeBron and AD getting comfortable together and figuring out what they have around them. What are you seeing right now?
This is how I know their relationship is moving in the right direction. In the previous game, LeBron James was wearing a headband. He had an issue with his hair. Anthony Davis pointed that out to LeBron. The next game, you notice, he wasn't wearing a headband. That's progress in a relationship, right? I guess
it's something else, yeah.
Right?
So.
Yeah, but in all honesty, and Anthony Davis has a shoulder issue. The thing I like about him continuing to compete is, one, grabbing all of those rebounds, dealing with your shoulder. Two, getting all of those dunks. And three, getting to the free throw line. He had 18 made free throws in the third quarter alone.
Yeah, and Greeny, nobody's expecting LeBron James and Anthony Davis to play all 82 games in the regular season. There's going to be a course of load management there for both these guys. I will say this, in order for them to win a championship, though, I don't like their really big lineups. I think that hurts him in pick and rolls. I think AD will need to be a 5 when Kyle Kuzma comes back.
Well, that's the big thing. AD has said for a long time he's much more comfortable at the 4 than the 5, and they've been playing Dwight Howard out there at the 5, but they look better. The eye test suggests they look better when he's playing the 5.
Absolutely. That's going to be their closing lineup. It'll be AD at the 5, LeBron and Kuzma up front, and then they figure out what's going to happen in the backcourt. But you try to not have him at the 5 so he doesn't have to take the pounding. That's the one thing about Anthony Davis. He's had a lot of nagging injuries throughout his career.
Including the shoulder. Load management is one thing. How worried are we about the shoulder? Quickly.
I'm really worried because he was going in and out of the game. He still put up big numbers, didn't have to play in the fourth quarter, but that shoulder issue is going to be something that seems to linger.
I mean, LeBron James is incredible. We've seen what happens when he's the only entity on the team last year. So
yes, they need those. They need to find a way to get both of those guys to the playoffs healthy, while still figuring out everything else around.
That's why I didn't have the Lakers or the Clippers win the regular season, because that's the same thing with the Clippers, right? Kawhi and Paul George. We just need you healthy when the playoffs come around.
The Clippers have a different level of deep, though. Right? They are deep in a way the Lakers can't even fathom. All right, we have more basketball coming up next. Actually, this is really interesting. What drove Kevin Durant to leave the Warriors? Stephen A. Smith sat down for a boardroom conversation. He will join us with a taste of that next as we continue here. And the Bears made a bunch of mistakes on Sunday. They made another huge one yesterday. We'll explain next. Get Up on ESPN.